The 2024 NFL season is finally upon us, and we are going to tell you the best case scenario for every NFL team. Which team's best case is going to the Super Bowl, and which team's best case scenario is getting the number one overall pick. That and more coming up on Sports Talk with Dad right now. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Sports Talk with Dad. As always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man who is 103 and still can't grow facial hair, my dad, Tim.
Yeah, I'm not 103, but I could start today, and by this time next year, you probably still not know I was growing a beard.
That is so weird, because you couldn't, none of your brothers could.
Nope. My dad couldn't.
But yet, my brother and I are able to grow full beards.
Your brother looks
Thank
like a
you,
lumberjack.
of the family.
Your brother looks like a lumberjack. I mean, he gets a big, thick beard. I got nothing.
Mine gets real curly. It doesn't look as good, but I'll take it. I am ready to get rid of it, though.
And go back to looking like you're 12.
Yeah. I'm tired of the mustache. It just gets in your mouth and food gets caught in it.
I got nothing. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no point of reference.
Okay. Since we're talking about facial hair, I have a trivia question for you. Let's see if I can stump you here. Who is the last president?
Ulysses S. Grant with a beard and Theodore Roosevelt with a mustache.
Okay, I could be allowed to finish my question. The last president to have a beard and the last one to have facial hair. Yes, that is the answer. Okay, fine. I got another one.
Okay.
The Olympics just ended, right?
They did.
So in honor of the Olympics, can you name the 5 Olympic sports, not including the new sports, so breakdancing isn't included.
Thank God.
Name the 5 sports that the United States of America has not medaled in.
Never.
Never. No gold, no bronze, no silver.
Ping pong.
Ping pong is one.
Badminton.
Badminton is the other.
Rhythmic gymnastics, and I don't know why I'm saying that, but
these lists are no fun when you know the answers to these.
Really? Well, is rhythmic? Is that the one with the things they just twirl around? Because
no, it's not. It's what replaced that. I don't know what it is, but it's whatever replaced that.
All right. Just seemed like something we wouldn't be good at.
We are not. Never meddled in that. 2 more. One is a kind of gymnastic sport, and the other one is a team sport. I thought you'd struggle with rhythmic gymnastics, but I also thought you'd have trouble with these as well.
Unless they've brought in, what is it they do at the circus where they swing from pole to pole? I don't think that's...
They kind of do that. That's included in at least male gymnastics. Well, female too. They do the bars.
Yeah, but they don't do the...
No. It's not that.
I have no idea.
Trampoline.
Trampoline?
Yep.
Did not know that was an Olympic sport.
Jump high, do flips. It's an Olympic sport.
Okay.
Never medaled in that. And handball.
That's where it's like racquetball and you use a hand?
No. It's like a mixture of soccer, lacrosse, basketball. Here, I'll pull it up.
Oh, it's water polo on dry land.
Yes, that is the best way to put it. It is water polo on dry land.
Got it.
Yeah, not popular in the United States, but apparently very popular in Europe. We have never medaled in handball.
Okay, because I'd never heard of it.
Yes, water polo we have.
Yeah, horses died a lot before they changed water polo.
Okay.
Never mind that. That was a bad dad joke even for me.
That was interesting. That was rough, man.
By the way, you know what's coming into next Olympics in 2028?
I know flag football is.
And pickleball.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's going to be an Olympic sport. Hey, curling is. Why not pickleball?
I mean, I can't really argue that point. On to the most popular sport in the United States.
Baseball.
No.
Oh.
No. We that's a conversation for another day.
I know. Football.
It is football, and we are specifically talking today about the NFL. We are going to talk about the best case scenarios for every single NFL team.
I got to be honest with you. I watched football all weekend. I watched the highlights. I sent you some.
Yep.
It was good to see football back.
I am very excited to see football back. And so let's choose the best case scenarios. Let's start with the AFC North, starting with the Baltimore Ravens. What do you think the best case scenario this year is for the Baltimore Ravens?
12-5, and taking the next step to get to the Super Bowl.
See, I knew you were going to go records with this.
Isn't that the way you're going to go?
And so I decided I needed to go a different.
Of course you did.
Just to be difficult. Here's what I think the best case scenario for the Baltimore Ravens is.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson proves he can be a pocket passer.
Well, that will also get them to the Super Bowl.
I do, but he needs to take, I know I've made this comparison many times before, but I think it's the perfect comparison. He needs to do what Michael Vick did, because Michael Vick with the Eagles was an MVP candidate.
Yes.
He could stay in the pocket. He could make the deep throw. I'm not saying he is. Michael Vick is, to me, a Hall of Fame quarterback. I really think that.
Even when he came back for the Eagles, he's such a generational talent.
Yes.
He was one of the best 2 or 3 quarterbacks in all of football.
I agree. 100% agree. He needs to take that step, though, because he's getting older now. And he's not going to be as fast. It just happens. So he has to be able to sit in the pocket and throw. He needs to make that next evolution.
He's got to learn to make the little adjustments in the pocket.
Yep.
Not just look to run.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's my best case scenario. Bengals, what do you think?
Bengals 11-6. It depends on Joe Burrow.
It does.
If Burrow's healthy, they're competing for certainly the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
If he's not healthy, first pick in the draft.
You think it'll be that bad?
I think they've taken a step back. There's some trouble in the clubhouse.
I don't know about that.
They won't go that far, but
my best case scenario for the Bengals is Joe Burrow stays healthy and gets back to MVP form. He needs to become football Jesus again. That needs to happen. I drove by the stadium. I was in Cincinnati last week and saw the coolest shirt ever.
Which is?
It was we went to the Cincinnati Zoo, and it was a shirt with meerkats, and it says, "Not the only Burrow in town." It was the greatest shirt ever. I almost bought it.
I can't believe you didn't buy it.
I wasn't paying $50 for a shirt.
You'll have one made.
I probably will have one made. All right, the Browns.
Browns.
Best case scenario.
Best case, 9-8, 10-7.
All right. My best case scenario for the Browns find a way to get out of Deshaun Watson's contract.
That would be a good thing for them.
That is by far the best case scenario. They'd have to trade him. If they cut him this year, do you know what their dead cap space is?
Oh, it's got to be in the 50s.
$200 million.
Oh, my God. It's worse than I thought.
Next year, $163 million. The year after, $72 million.
Well, then he's going to be on the team.
Unless they can trade him and find somebody that'll take that contract, which I don't think they will.
Who would? I wouldn't.
He's taken the step back. I don't see him coming back this year. Obviously, away from getting out of his contract, it's Deshaun Watson showing that he can be the player he was with the Texans. But I think the best case scenario for the Browns is they magically are able to pull a Russell Wilson type of deal and get that contract off the books.
The only place I could see him going might be to some place like Las Vegas.
I think they're pretty set.
They're still desperate for a quarterback.
I don't think anybody's going to take him. I mean, since signing that contract, he's played, 5 games?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a nightmare situation for the Browns. And you know what? You get what you deserve.
Yeah. For a lot of reasons we won't go into, but it was a dumb signing.
All right. Pittsburgh Steelers, best case scenario.
Again, best case scenario. But Tomlin's still the coach. Your boy Fields looked atrocious the other night.
Shush.
2 fumbled snaps. The game has not slowed down for him at all. Another Ohio State quarterback down the drain.
I can't argue that.
I know you can't. I know. I know.
We got great running backs. We're wide receiver you. Our quarterbacks have not panned out. I can't fight you on that.
One notable exception. I think the best case scenario is 9-8, maybe sneaking into the playoffs. And that's if Russell Wilson has a great year.
All right. What do you think about this for a best case scenario? Russell Wilson or Justin Fields shows that they can win with the Steelers. Ends up getting
Yeah.
a long-time contract. They become the quarterback of the future, and it's taken care of.
Well, Russell Wilson's only got maybe 3-4 years at the most left.
Yeah.
It would be great. Best case scenario, I think, would be that he becomes that transition quarterback and allows them to draft somebody in the second or third round next year and build behind him.
Do you think the Steelers should trade up? Say Russell Wilson becomes Justin Fields flops. Russell Wilson shows his MVP form once again. Do you think you take that risk and trade up to get the next quarterback? Or do you think, hey, this defense isn't going to last much longer. We need to win now?
I think they've got to win. Their window is halfway open.
Yeah.
And it all depends on Russell Wilson. Their defense is solid.
Or Fields.
I saw him in preseason.
One
Wilson.
game.
No. We've seen the same quarterback in that preseason game we've seen for years in
He
Chicago.
was a fumbling snaps.
Russell Wilson is the quarterback, and if he can put it together, they've got TJ Watt, a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
The defense is outstanding.
Yep.
The window is open for this year and maybe next, and that's it before they have to do a rebuild of some kind.
I agree. You think they can do it this year?
No.
You think the best case scenario is barely making the playoffs?
Yes.
Depends. I mean, if one of those guys takes the reins, they can make a deep run.
Sure.
All right. On to the NFC North, our conference, the Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears, best case scenario, 10-7, 9-8.
Best case scenario for the Chicago Bears, the Bears prove they are no longer in the business of destroying quarterbacks. I don't think it has as much to do with Caleb Williams.
No, it's all
I
about
think
the
it has all to do with the organization because they have destroyed quarterbacks' careers.
Eberflus, make no mistake, is on a giant hot seat.
Well, and then here's the thing, though, too, is like, say Eberflus is on this giant hot seat, right?
Mhm.
Cool. So you do again what you did to Mitch Trubisky. You do what you did to Justin Fields,
Mhm.
and you put him in this coaching carousel
Right.
where they don't get a chance to develop.
And it's the Bears. They're going to hire a defensive-minded head coach that's not going to be there to help Caleb Williams.
I mean, that's just it. You need to prove that you're not doing that anymore. You need to prove you can have an offensive system with a quarterback that can maintain and you can develop.
It's the Bears.
They have to prove they're not going to destroy another young quarterback's career.
Okay.
Best case scenario.
That is, I mean, the best quarterback in their history played 60 years ago, Sid Luckman.
Yeah.
So,
Jay Cutler was pretty good.
sure. He looked great riding that bike in the NFC Championship
Well,
game.
there's that part too. All right, the Detroit Lions.
Super Bowl or bust.
See, I'm on the same page with you here. You don't have to. I mean, I almost put Jameson Williams becomes a true number one receiver, but I don't even think you need that. You have your window now. You have to win a Super Bowl now.
Window is as wide open as it's going to be.
You got the veteran quarterback who's been top 3 in the league the last 3 years. You got a decent defense. It should be better this year. You got a good offense that's ready to go. You have to win the Super Bowl this year. You got the Packers who are about to become the Packers again. You have the Bears who are going to be better this year, and you have the Vikings with a young quarterback.
This is by far and away has a chance to be the best division in football we've seen for a long time.
It could be. It all depends on a few quarterbacks.
It does.
But the Lions need to strike this year. I think they had to strike last year, and they just missed it. This year, they have to win the Super Bowl.
Let's hope the NFC North isn't what I said the AFC West was going to be last year.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Our hometown Green Bay Packers. Best case scenario.
America's team. They really are. Anyways, my prediction for them would be taking the next step, get into the NFC Championship game, probably against Detroit. I think that would be a great step forward. Winning the division would be a best case scenario. 11-6, 12-5.
They got a chance to do it. Best case scenario, Jordan Love proves he is the Hall of Fame quarterback that I know he is. No sophomore slump. He's got his big contract. He is the next Hall of Fame quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, and now all he has to do is go out and prove it.
He looked good on Saturday night.
Well, one pass was beautiful.
Yeah. And the other,
honestly, it was like watching Rodgers back in the day when he'd have those one preseason series. It's like, I'm warm.
yeah.
On to the season.
And again, for me, it was like when he was there, he saw 4 and 5 different players.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he just picked the one.
He's ready to go. I'm excited for the Packers this year. Jordan Love just needs to continue on this trajectory. Prove he's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
He's got to prove that he's the quarterback we saw the second half of the year and see it all year long.
Yeah.
He's going to have bad games, but.
Minnesota Vikings.
Best case scenario, 7-10.
Wow.
And best case scenario, as far as if Darnold can get him through the first 5 games and then J.J. McCarthy can come in and take over the rest of the way and be the quarterback of the future. He did look really good in the preseason game. He made some passes I didn't think he had in him.
Yeah.
But then he got hurt. Now he's got to have surgery.
Well, if you look at those passes, though, they were floaters, man.
They were.
They were floaters.
A couple of them were.
They were floaters.
Jordan Love throws floaters.
Jordan Love throws a beautiful pass that Hall of Fame quarterbacks all over the world throw. J.J. McCarthy,
welcome to
up in the sky.
Packer homer.
Oh, I don't deny that. 100% a Packer homer. You'll never get me to say anything bad about the Packers.
I try to be objective about
that's
them.
not true. I do say bad things about the Packers, but I always have hope.
So do I.
The joy of being a Packer fan. I never lose hope.
So what's your best case?
J.J. McCarthy doesn't have to start all season. Sam Darnold's able to take the reins. They have a decent season. And next year, which could happen, J.J. McCarthy is out for a little bit now. Has a torn meniscus from the game. Going to need surgery. Just announced.
So he's out until mid-season at least.
Maybe.
Well, I don't think you want to rush him back if he is your quarterback of the future.
You don't. Let Darnold start this year. Don't have J.J. McCarthy in any games is the best case scenario for the Minnesota Vikings. AFC East,
Oof.
Buffalo Bills.
Again, windows closing, Super Bowl or bust. And I think they could go 11-6.
The window has closed for the team that was there before. Stephon Diggs is gone. You've lost players on the defense. That window is gone. You need to build a new legacy at this point. And Allen needs to prove he can win without a number 1 receiver. It's all on him now.
He's got to stop running.
At least slide. That would be a good start.
I mean, he's a physical specimen.
Yeah.
But even Brett Favre got hurt towards the end.
He did. I will say there's one thing, back to the Bears for a second with Caleb Williams. One thing that really impressed me with him watching the highlights is he got down. When defenders started to get around him, he just went down.
Well, and that little shovel pass he made was a thing of beauty.
It was.
But we've already passed that division.
We have, but that's one thing Allen needs to learn, to get down more. But he needs to prove he can be a great passing quarterback without that number 1 receiver, because he's not going to have it this year. Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins, I think, are in that 10-7, 11-6. They're going to be fighting for the division lead.
They are.
Tua's got to learn to play under 30 degrees.
Yeah.
But
that's been the Dolphins' problem forever, though.
It is. I think the Dolphins' best case scenario would be getting to the AFC Championship, but it's going to be really tough.
Best case scenario for me for the Dolphins, Tua stays healthy and leads the Dolphins to the first playoff victory in 24 years. They have not won a playoff game since December 30th, 2000.
Wow. Okay.
That's crazy to me.
It is.
I was in 5th grade. That's insane. It's been that long.
It has.
I don't like that I could say I had memory of 24 years ago. It shows I'm getting old. But yeah, they need to win their first playoff game this year. Patriots,
first pick in the draft. They got to find out what they have in Drake May. Although the kid they had backing him up, Milton, looked really good. But he's not.
He's playing 4 stringers.
I know he is. I know.
Playing guys that are going to be bagging groceries in 2 months.
Probably. I think they're 5-12.
I can see them getting the number 1 overall pick. Best case scenario, Drake May doesn't start a single game.
Oh, that's not happening.
And the Patriots get a top 5 pick.
Yeah, that's not happening.
If you can sit Drake May, I mean, people are saying he looked good. I mean,
he hardly played.
He had 1 pass.
Yeah.
That was it. He handed the ball off real well. I really think the best case scenario is Jacoby Brissett starts all year. They're going to have a bad season. You just got to This is where NFL teams have to be okay. You have a coach that's not going anywhere. Gerard Mayo, this is his first year. He's not getting fired after 1 year. He's been in the succession plan for a long time. You need to just allow yourselves to be bad this year, get a top pick, and don't rush a rookie quarterback.
That's something that they're not Green Bay or Atlanta, who is taking the Green Bay approach, and they've drafted their quarterback, and they're going to let him sit. New England's not that team.
Well, they don't have that top quarterback, and that makes a difference. But you need to not, I think, best case scenario, Drake May doesn't start, and you end up with a top 5 pick next year to build up that team.
Yeah, there's no talent.
You don't start a rookie quarterback without an offensive line, and you just don't have one right now.
They're going to start him.
I like I said, they may. Best case scenario is that they don't. Jets.
God, it's all going to come down to Rodgers' health. 10-7, 11-6 at the very best. Honestly, my gut is telling me 8-9.
Wow.
Rodgers he's got a chip on his shoulder.
He does.
Everybody's talking him down. Saleh is on his equally hot a seat as Eberflus is. This is either going to be a huge up, or the Jets are going to look like fools for bringing in Rodgers.
Best case scenario is Super Bowl or bust. Again, nobody to develop here. You got to win. Your window is this year.
I just don't see
that's it. So the best case scenario, Rodgers, MVP, Jets, Super Bowl victory. Rodgers.
Do you think that's
on his white horse and rides off?
Do you think that's going to happen?
I'm saying best case scenario.
Do you think it's going to happen?
It's got a chance. It really does. It has a chance. I've watched Rodgers all of my adult life, really, and I've seen him do it time and time and time again. I've seen him come back from injuries time and time and time again to be MVP. It definitely can happen. And the best case scenario is that does happen, and they win a Super Bowl, and Rodgers walks away.
I'm worried about his offensive line because it's patchwork.
It is, but if they can stay healthy,
we'll see.
That's best case scenario. On to the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys.
I think they're going to take a step back, although Dak Prescott, he's playing for his next contract, obviously. CeeDee Lamb isn't signed. 10-6 or 10-7, 9-8 in that range.
All right, you ready for this one? Cowboys are done with Dak Prescott.
They're also done with Mike McCarthy.
They're done with Mike McCarthy.
Bridges is ridiculous.
It is, but bridges have been burned at this point. Dak Prescott's ready to move on. Mike McCarthy, I think, is done with this nonsense.
Did you see? I saw the last press conference when McCarthy was there with Jerry Jones. McCarthy sat back with his hands folded. He's just done with it.
He's done with it. Jerry Jones is ready to move on, as he always is. For whatever reason, except for one coach, he's always had short leashes on all of them. So the best case scenario for the Cowboys is that they completely go in the tank and get the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft and get their quarterback. They can bring in the coach that they want, and they just get to start over.
Okay, but who is that?
You pay CeeDee Lamb, you pay Micah Parsons, you build up that team, and you got a new quarterback on a rookie deal.
Here's my problem. Odds are they're going to bring in a Bill Belichick, which is not the way to go if you're Dallas at this point.
Why?
He's there to break the record, 15 games. He's still got Jerry Jones there. Do you think Belichick and Jerry Jones are going to mesh?
I don't. But for 1 year it could work. It could. It definitely could work. But the best case scenario is that the Cowboys completely tank and they get the number 1 overall pick. They bring in the quarterback they want, and they just get to start over, because then you know who you have to sign now, because you can't sign Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, and Dak. You can't. There's not enough cap room for all that. And you're done with Dak. I think the worst thing that could happen to them is Dak shows, hey, I'm a franchise quarterback here, because he's so up and down. So he has a career year. You sign him. We know what's going to come next, most likely. I think it's a worst case scenario.
I think Dak is going to be gone, and there are going to be people lining up to give him over 60 a year.
100%. Yeah, I've been saying he's going to go to Seattle for a long time, and I think that happens. But again, best case scenario is the Cowboys, and I'm telling you this, Cowboy fans, the best case scenario for you this year, because you're already done with Dak, you're already done with McCarthy, just tank. Get that number 1 overall pick and get to start over.
They've got to sign CeeDee Lamb immediately.
You need to sign CD Lamb. All right, on to the New York Giants.
I hate to say this because I like Dable a lot, but I think 7-12 or 7-10.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be Daniel Jones unless he surprises me. I don't see as the quarterback of the future. They've got some talent. I just think they're always in a constant rebuilding year.
Yeah.
I know there's 6 teams that are going to surprise us and end up in the playoffs that weren't there last year.
Yep.
The Giants could be one of those teams.
They could.
But from outside looking in, I'll go 7-10.
Here's what they got, though. They just got a newly formed offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
They completely rebuilt it. They spent a lot of money on it. My best case scenario is newly formed offensive line is able to protect Daniel Jones, and and behind a surprising run attack, Giants make the playoffs.
I could see that. Like I said, it's going to be, and we'll do this next week, but I think it's going to be interesting for us to pick who's not going to make it this year that made it last year.
I agree. The Giants could be a surprise team this year. I think Daniel Jones is a lot better than he's looked. He's had no time his entire career. I think the same thing. You remember David Carr. It was hard to judge him because he was sacked 140 plus times in 2 years. Daniel Jones has been in that same ball game. The one game he had protection in that playoff game, he won.
Right.
Give him some time, and I think you're going to be surprised with that. On to the Eagles.
Super Bowl. And I think they're going to come in at 13-4.
Wow. It's a lot of, you mentioned bad blood in some other places.
I know, but look who they brought in. Saquon Barkley. You still have Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
You've got weapons. They've got to prove that this new offensive coordinator and Nick Sirianni. Thank you.
Sorry.
Wasn't coming out right. This is his season to do it. They've got to get to the Super Bowl this year. They've got the team that can get them there.
Best case scenario for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts proves he is more than just a tush push. Because they don't have the center that cheated anymore. People don't realize that tush push was successful not because of anything that anybody was doing special,
Jason Kelce.
but because Jason Kelce, that ball was in Jalen Hurts' hand at the first down marker. He stretched that ball 2 yards ahead of where he was and leaned forward, and that's why the tush push worked.
Is that cheating or is that a veteran knowing what to do?
That's cheating.
Really?
Yes.
You're going to call it cheating on Jerry Kramer in the Ice Bowl when?
No, because that wasn't offsides. It was the same exact time, and I'm a Packer fan. Taking the ball and putting it 2 yards ahead of the line of scrimmage so that ball is snapped.
It wasn't 2 yards. It would have been flagged for it.
Really? No, not at all. He needs to prove that he's more than that now that Jason Kelce's not there. On to the Washington Commanders.
You mean the Redskins?
That one.
Okay.
Best case scenario.
Bring back that logo. First year coach, I think they've got a great quarterback.
Yeah.
He made some throws that were on the dime. He actually audible out of the play that was called and threw a dime.
Yeah. I think he's going to have a chance to be a good quarterback.
I think he's going to. I don't think this is going to be the year for it. I think they're going to be 7 wins.
Yeah.
Maybe 8.
It's a development year.
It is a development year, but that's okay. New coach. Hopefully they're going to get a new stadium at some point.
They need to.
Badly. Biggest thing I would worry about, that Daniels doesn't get hurt on that field.
Well, and that's my best case scenario. Jaden Daniels doesn't go the way of RG3.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem. He's a running quarterback. He's of that same build. Now, he's thicker, right? RG3 was a very skinny guy. He's thicker, more muscular.
He hasn't had the injuries coming up.
But, well, either did RG3.
Well, he was hurt, though, and they rushed him back.
When he was in the NFL.
Yes.
Jaden Daniels needs to stay healthy. They need to protect him. And Quinn needs to show that he can build a top 5 defense. I think that's the biggest goal. Jaden Daniels doesn't get hurt this year. And Quinn has a top 5 defense with the players he has.
All right.
AFC South. On to the land of the Ohio State quarterbacks, the Houston Texans.
The one that's actually shown that he has some talent.
Hey, how many Badgers quarterbacks have been successful in the NFL? Thank you.
I'm sure we've had some.
No, you haven't.
No, I think we have.
No.
Brooks Bollinger was damn good.
He started some games for the Vikings.
Anyways, I think this is going to be, could be a really good division, minus one team. I think Houston could go 11-6.
Yeah.
And I think best case scenario from my eyes would be AFC Championship game.
I think there's a real possibility of that. Best case scenario for me, CJ Stroud avoids a sophomore slump and actually gets some MVP votes, because that's where he really takes that next step. If he can be good enough to get MVP votes this year, you're going to be in real good shape.
He's going to face the same thing Jordan Love is. There's all sorts of tape on him now.
Yep.
You've got to elevate your game to the next level and give them things they haven't seen that they didn't know you could do.
I mean, I know we're going to talk about these guys in just a minute here, but Trevor Lawrence, look, people got tape on him, and it was a different ball game. We're going to save that for a minute. On to the Colts. What do you think the best case scenario?
9-8, 10-7. Anthony Richardson, we don't really know what he is yet. He's got all the ability in the world. He's got to prove it this year.
Best case scenario for the Indianapolis Colts is that Anthony Richardson learns how to slide.
And Jonathan Taylor learns how to wear a regular helmet again.
Hey, if you're going to wear it, wear it.
I know.
Here's the thing that makes me nervous about the caps, okay? Helmets already provide a very false sense of security for the protection of your head. And now you have more cushion that's going to give you even a more false sense of security for your head.
They're going to lead with their head.
Jonathan Taylor's going to lead with his head. He feels like he has more protection around his head now. And that's the issue. They're leading with their head.
Right.
You're getting your head hit. You got to keep your head up, man.
And Jonathan Taylor surprises me because he does run with his head up.
I'm all game. If you want to wear it for protection, go for it. I think it looks goofy with a little tarp over the helmet, but it's your life. You do what you want.
Right,
I get wanting more protection, but I'm just nervous it's going to provide more of a false sense of security, and you're going to just end up getting more hurt because of that.
I'm never going to tell a player not to wear one.
No, if you got the opportunity, go for it. I have no issues with it. As goofy as it looks, go for it. But again, it's a false sense of security that your head is not going to get hurt now. And I just think that's going to lead to more problems in NFL games. I really do. That's my personal opinion. We'll see how it works out. But as long as Anthony Richardson actually learns how to slide, he'll be fine. That's back to Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams got down right away, right? You know I've said a lot of bad things about Caleb Williams.
Richardson's a bigger dude.
He is a bigger dude. You got to get down, man.
I know.
You got to get down.
I'm afraid that he's already started down the path of being that injured quarterback with all the potential in the world.
He could be. I mean, RG3 was that much or that way. He could be in the same boat. They did a good job making sure he was out the rest of the year last year and just dealing with what came. But he's got to learn how to slide this year. If he can slide more often, that's a win for the Colts every step of the way. Tennessee Titans.
6-11. I just don't think they're very good. Will Levis hasn't shown me anything so far.
Yeah, get this. You ready? My best case scenario for the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis shows he is a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's all he needs to do is show he's a starting quarterback in the NFL, and the Titans end up with a top 5 pick. Because if you have a starting quarterback and a top 5 pick, that means you can focus on talent, and build up your team in other areas. And that way, hey, we got our quarterback. We're going to focus on getting more talent around him and build from that way. There's so many holes on that team. Mm-hmm. They really need to build, and they need to sit with a quarterback for a while and not worry about taking a quarterback all the time.
I don't think they're in that position right now, personally.
You got to let them run.
I mean, let's face it.
You got to run with them, man.
All these predictions we're making, quarterback goes down, all these predictions are out the window. That team is looking for something next year.
Yeah. Now you see why my best case scenario isn't record.
Okay.
There's too many things on the line. Will Levis this year needs to show he's capable of starting in the NFL. And again, the Titans need to end up with a top 5 pick so they can build that team in other areas. Jacksonville Jaguars.
This is their year. This is Trevor Lawrence's last shot. Best case scenario with a new stadium on the way.
Which looks beautiful, by the way.
It does. It does. I like what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
9-8, 10-7. I know I'm putting a lot of teams there, but I think that's what.
But that's best case scenario.
Best case scenario.
We're not saying every team's going to be there.
Best case scenario, they could end up 12-4, and Trevor Lawrence proves that he's the quarterback we thought he was the first couple of years.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence prove that they're a good match together, because if they don't this year, they're going to blow it up.
They're going to have to. I do find it interesting just on the stadium, kind of a squirrel moment for a second. So they're going to play normal this year.
Yep.
Next year in 2026, they're going to play, or actually next year, they're still in the same stadium. They're going to start the build in 2026 as long as it gets final approval, which it will.
It will.
2026, they're still going to play in that same stadium.
With the building, with the construction going on outside the building.
Correct. And they're just going to be in front of much smaller crowds.
For those that don't know, they're going to keep the same infrastructure and stadium they have. They're going to build a giant roof over it. It's not going to be temperature
Renovation.
controlled, but it's going to lower the heat by 70% in the stadium.
70% more shade.
Yes.
That's the issue for those of you that haven't been to Jacksonville. You and I both have. It's hard to sit in the stands. There's zero shade anywhere.
It's like
It is
sitting
real hot.
It's almost like sitting on the one side in Tampa Bay early in the year where that sun just beats down on
It is. So they're going to build on the outside, and then in 2027, they're going to either play in Orlando or Gainesville, and while the roof's being put on. By the way, I did also call. What did I tell you? Packers are going to be the last team without a dome. And Jaguars are getting a dome.
Which makes me think that Tampa and Miami are going to go the way of a dome. The next stadiums
are domes. It's going to happen.
Okay.
100%. All right, my best case scenario for the Jaguars, the Jags team as a whole can stay healthy. They really need to stay healthy, and Trevor Lawrence gets some MVP votes. Same as C.J. Stroud. You need to start seeing him get some MVP votes at this point. That's their next step.
Either Trevor Lawrence is either going to turn it around and be that guy, or he's going to fall to the wayside. And
he got paid. It's time to show it. All right, our last division, the NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons.
Not our last division.
Not our last. Sorry. Whoa. I scroll down. There's more there. All right. Last South division there.
All right.
NFC South, Atlanta Falcons.
Yes. 11-6, winning the division. I think they're in great shape. They've got a quarterback they can run with for a couple years. I think they should win a playoff game, possibly. I don't think they're going to get to the NFC Championship game, but they've got the Packers set up where Penix Jr. is behind them, behind Kirk Cousins. He can learn for a couple of years and then step right in. I like what they did.
Do you think best case scenario is winning a playoff game?
Yep. This year.
Best case scenario, Kirk Cousins becomes the league MVP on his way to a late playoff run, if not a Super Bowl. Best case scenario.
Best case scenario. Okay.
Last year, Kirk Cousins was the MVP of the league till he got hurt.
Bijan Robinson, I think, will have a breakout year this year. They're giving him weapons around him. They're going to free him up. He's a great pass catcher.
You just need a quarterback that could run the offense. You have that now. And if Kirk Cousins can be the MVP of the league, they're going to make a late playoff run. He needs to break that curse, right? Primetime curse, playoff curse. And best case scenario is he breaks that. They go on a late playoff run, if not into the Super Bowl.
All right.
Carolina Panthers.
First pick in the draft. I think they're going to go 5-12. Bryce Young was just a bad pick. Maybe he'll prove everybody wrong this year.
Best case scenario, don't forget. Your opinion, best case scenario.
Okay, best case scenario, he doesn't get hurt. He lasts the year, and he grows 4 inches.
That would be a very good scenario.
Late growth spurt.
Best case scenario, Bryce Young shows that he is not an NFL bust. That is the best case scenario for the Carolina Panthers. Because right now, it's looking like that was the worst pick. Because if the Panthers don't draft him, I still think he falls a long way.
A long way. I mean, if their owner had any brains at all, he, number one, doesn't get involved in who to pick for his quarterback. And number
two, is still your head coach.
And you go and get C.J. Stroud, and you're competing for that title in the NFC South.
Yep. All right, New Orleans Saints.
They're going to be a middle of the pack, 8-9, and maybe sneak into the playoffs depending on who gets hurt and where the chips fall. They're not a great team.
Best case scenario for the New Orleans Saints, top 5 pick. You got to rebuild, man. You got young wide receivers that are starting to develop.
They need a quarterback. Derek Carr is Derek Carr.
Listen, if you can get a top 5 pick, you can run with Derek Carr another year.
Sure.
And have that quarterback sitting behind him and kind of go that route. You're in the Derek Carr contract for another year after this. Ride it out. Best case scenario is they get a top 5 pick. They get that replacement, are able to build the team even more through the draft, and then get a top 5 pick the next year too and build up even more. They need to just bottom out at this point.
We now talk about one of my favorite teams.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They never show up for a game and lose everything they play. Best case scenario,
2 Super Bowls, man.
yeah, I'm aware. I live there. Ugh. Best case scenario, 11-6, and they win the division.
Best case scenario for me, Baker Mayfield continues to show he is an NFL starting quarterback and gets MVP votes as the Bucs get to an NFC Championship game.
I shouldn't hate them as much as I do, but it just,
They were in the NFC Central back in the day.
yeah.
I mean, that's the Battle of the Bays, man.
Let's go with that. Let's go with that.
It goes way, way back. I mean, we were trained as children to hate the Buccaneers.
Yes,
I mean, I think people hated in Wisconsin when there was the NFC Central. I think people hated the Bucs more than any other team in the division, and I don't know why. It was just always the case.
There was that Warren Sapp, Brett Favre thing going on for a long time.
Which is funny because they were friends, but they're just
at the
competitive.
end, they're very competitive.
But if Baker Mayfield can continue to show he is an NFL starting quarterback and get some MVP votes, they're going to make a late run in the playoffs at that point. Because I think Baker Mayfield is still a really good quarterback, but their window is closing. Their team's getting older. They got to do something this year. All right, AFC West, Broncos.
I think the Broncos are looking to finish. I think they can get, best case scenario, they can finish 10-7. Bo Nix proves that he's a good quarterback. And I think, and the best case scenario is Peyton has found his next Drew Brees.
He loves Bo Nix, and man, did he look good.
He looked okay
this weekend. All right, my best case scenario, Bo Nix wins Rookie of the Year, and the Broncos get a top 10 pick to rebuild.
Wow. So where do you think they're going to finish record-wise?
If it works out the way that I think would work best for the Broncos, they finish 5-6 wins. But yeah, Bo Nix, again, Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Plays really good. I know you can't win Rookie of the Year really on a losing team, but if he can show, hey, this is a real guy here, and they can win or lose a lot of close games to still get those top picks to be able to have that talent in the top 10, I think that's a great scenario for the Broncos because they really need to build that team up around him.
I think they're a 7 or 8 win team.
I think hey, that still might be enough to get you in the top 10. And if you can do that and Bo Nix, again, can still look like a Rookie of the Year, that's a win for the Broncos. You got your quarterback, and now you can rebuild. Chiefs.
Super Bowl.
It is Super Bowl or bust. They're going for the three-peat.
I think they're going to be, I think they may even take a step back, but I think they're going to be 11-6.
All right. I really thought about this one. Of course, the answer is Super Bowl or bust, right?
Going for
if
the
you look at the Chiefs, though, they got a problem. Travis Kelce is about to be 36 years old.
Need him for one more year.
5 this year.
One more year.
Best case scenario for the Chiefs, Noah Gray, their backup tight end, shows that he can replace Travis Kelce as he retires.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Taylor Swift shows up for every game.
No, best case scenario would be that doesn't happen for any game.
Okay.
I don't want that again.
Oh, it's going to happen again.
They need to find a replacement at tight end.
They do.
Andy Reid really relies, and I don't know how long he's going to coach either, right? But Patrick Mahomes gotten real comfortable with the safety net at tight end. And you need that. You look at Tom Brady, right? The 2 different dynasties, what did he have in both of them? A tight end.
Always had a tight end. Look,
you need another one, and if Noah Gray can step up in his 4th year and show that he's capable of being a Travis Kelce replacement, that's a win for the Chiefs.
Huge win. If anybody's going to three-peat, it's going to be Andy Reid.
Yeah. Well, and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the best in the NFL. He is an amazing quarterback. But I didn't want to just pick Super Bowl or bust. That's obvious. You need to find a replacement tight end for Travis Kelce, and the best case scenario is that they can do that with somebody that's already on their roster. All right, Las Vegas Raiders.
6-11. I don't think Gardner Minshew is their guy.
Best case scenario.
Yeah. Okay. 7-10.
Aiden O'Connell.
7-10.
Aiden O'Connell sounds like he's gonna be their starter.
I just don't think there's that much talent around him. I think they're in a rebuilding process. They're still looking for their quarterback of the long term. So I think it's going to be a down year, and they're going to try to get draft picks.
All right, you ready for this? I think you're going to like this one.
Go ahead.
Gardner Minshew shows that he is the next coming of Ken Stabler, and the Raiders win the first playoff game since 2002. 22 years.
That would be huge. That would
Gardner
be huge.
Minshew, all he does is win. And that's why I say the next coming of Ken Stabler. And that's why he reminds me of him so much, because Ken Stabler never looked pretty on the field.
No, but he looked so
But he
cool on
won.
the field.
He always won.
Yes,
So does
he
Gardner
did.
Minshew. Gardner Minshew looks like that guy you want to get a beer with.
Well, yeah.
So if Gardner Minshew can just show he's a winner, no matter what it looks like, and they can win a playoff game and break that drought, I think that's the best case scenario for the
Okay.
Raiders. All right, on to the Los Angeles Chargers.
They could win the division, possibly. Best case scenario. I think they're going to be 9-8.
Okay. I think you misunderstand the drill sometimes.
I think that's
This
the
is
best.
not what you think. This is best case scenario.
I think that's their best case scenario. I think
9
this is.
and 8.
I think this. They don't have the wide receivers yet. They cleared house. This is a rebuilding year.
It is.
Justin Herbert working with Harbaugh and getting that in sync for next year is a win for them. This is a throwaway year for them.
I'm glad you said wide receiver room, because that goes right in my best case scenario. Harbaugh is able to develop the wide receiver room to help Herbert, and Joe Alt quickly becomes the next Joe Thomas.
I think he will.
It's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Because if you can get that left tackle situation figured out, granted, that offensive line wasn't terrible last year. Herbert was very low on the sack. He only had 29 sacks last year. Jordan Love, by comparison, had 30.
But Alt is a stud.
But if Joe Alt can be the next coming of Joe Thomas and just be that stalwart that's there for the next decade,
Mhm.
and you can develop the wide receivers that you have without having to worry about using a bunch of draft picks on them, that is the best case scenario for the Chargers.
Okay.
Win, lose, or go home. That's a win for the Chargers this year. All right, this is our last division now.
This one is.
This
Yes,
one is.
We are. We're
This-
good.
This one is.
All right.
NFC West, the Arizona Cardinals.
Marvin Harrison proves he's the real deal. I think they're going to be 8 wins at the best,
Yeah.
the absolute best. They got to figure out what Kyler Murray is all about. He proves it this year or he doesn't.
My best case scenario for the Cardinals, because we know how much of a Kyler Murray fan I
You
am.
love him.
Marvin Harrison proves he is a top wide receiver in the league, and the Cardinals get a top 5 pick to draft a new quarterback.
Yeah, there you go.
You need a new quarterback. Kyler Murray is not the answer. He had a fun rookie year. I think that's what you're going to see from Caleb Williams, honestly, a fun rookie year, and then you're really going to see what he is. And we saw that with Kyler Murray. It was fun while it lasted, but it's time to find a replacement. And
Well,
you need to get a top 5 pick. To do
They've
that.
been saying that since Jim Hart.
Yeah.
So,
That's back when you were in your 40s.
no, I was a little baby boy.
All right, 103. Don't forget.
Uh-huh.
All right,
The Rams
Rams next on the list. What do you got? Best case scenario.
win the division, get to the NFC Championship game. Matt Stafford gives you one last big run.
Goes on. You're reading my mind here. Matthew Stafford becomes the NFL MVP on the way to a Super Bowl. That is the best case scenario.
Yeah.
He has one final run before he hangs up the cleats, and he might not. I could see Matthew Stafford continue on. I think he just likes playing the game of football.
I do too.
But the best case scenario for the Rams this year, Matthew Stafford becomes the NFL MVP onto a Super Bowl
I
win.
could see that.
All right, San Francisco 49ers. The window never seems to close with them.
They
does it?
don't, but there's some turmoil going on there. I think they take a step back. They're still going to be in the playoffs.
But again, best case scenario.
Best case scenario, they win the division. They could get to the Super Bowl, but I think they're going to fall short. I think it's going to be one win in the playoffs, and they don't play the Packers at all.
Yeah, but this isn't the Packers' best case scenario.
And that
This is the Niners'
I
best case scenario.
understand that, but I still think Brock Purdy has to prove he's either the guy or he's just somebody who runs. He's the Bob Greasy of today's game, where can run that team because of all the talents around him.
It's same with Dak Prescott, right? You either want him to prove he can do it, or
Right.
you want him to not prove he can do it.
One way or the other.
Best case scenario to me for the 49ers, Brock Purdy proves he is the 49ers franchise QB on the way to a Super Bowl victory. That is the best case scenario. Brandon Ayuk or not, that's the best case scenario. Also included in that best case scenario, Brandon Ayuk signs.
Yeah.
You figure it out. He signs a contract with the Niners, and he's there, and this is over.
I think they take a step back, honestly, this year.
I think they could. I do.
Their window is going up and down, depending on
Again,
Ayuk.
this is
I
best
know.
case scenario.
I understand that.
I don't think you do.
I do.
All right.
I'm also giving reality because you go in the squirrel land.
I'm saying best case scenario.
I know.
You are giving, I think this is what's going to happen.
I think that's what's going to happen. Best case. Well, because if best case scenario for every team is Super Bowl.
That's fair. Not true. I don't think that's true. I've mentioned several that I think the best case scenario is they get a top 5 pick.
I think the next one's going to be another one.
Seattle Seahawks, best case scenario.
Getting one of those top 5 picks and so they can get a quarterback.
What's their best case scenario record for you?
7 wins.
Yeah. See, and if you're in that range where you're 7 wins, and that's really how I drew this out. I know it's late to say this, but it was if you're going to be middle of the pack's best case scenario, then your best case scenario is get a top pick. So my best case scenario for the Seattle Seahawks is they get the number 1 overall pick and draft a franchise QB.
Yeah.
I think that is the best case scenario for the Seattle Seahawks because guy you got is not the answer.
No, Geno Smith has had a nice story.
He has.
But he's not going to get you to the promised land long term.
No, he's not. That, my friend, is the best case scenario for all the NFL teams. Folks, he didn't understand the assignment.
I did. I really did.
We got through it. We did get the best case scenario for all teams out of him. But we have had a great show.
Mm-hmm.
As you all know, you cannot have a conversation with your dad without your father getting the last word. So it is all you.
So we're going to close out with something I saw in the Olympics, and it's nothing of the politics of it, except that I was really pleased with what I saw from Brittany Griner. She stood when she was getting her gold medal, and she had tears in her eyes. She learned what it was really like to live on the other side of the fence and to live in another country where when you break a law, it's not a slap on the wrist where it is oftentimes here, especially if you're a celebrity. She had to be in a Russian jail for 9 months. She appreciates the United States at this point a lot more than she did before. And that's nice to see. I've said it a long time ago. I think every kid that's 17, 18, 19 needs to go to another country and have to live there for a couple of years, whether it's in the Peace Corps or the military or whatever, and then come home and see how good we really have it here. So congratulations to the men's and women's basketball team for bringing home the gold. Let's hope in 2028, Caitlin Clark will not be left off the team again. But congratulations for Brittany Griner for learning a lesson the hard way.
That was a really positive last word.
It happens once in a while.
I have to admit, I did see that, and it actually brought tears to my eyes as well. Seeing her up there crying at the national anthem, being proud to be an American.
And now we fade out with Lee Greenwood in the background.
Yeah, that would be. I don't have the rights to that one.
No,
So we are doing our normal music. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. This has been Sports Talk with Dad. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.